Oh, this filter makes me look real good. It makes my guns look good. Oh. Where am I supposed to be looking at? Is it the lens? Hey, everybody. Oh, there's a wink. I'm bad at winking. Anyways, I'm gonna take a glass of water. I'm just thirsty all of a sudden. I haven't said anything. All right. Oh, shit. So this one is for Shirley, and some other people also commented on it. Hey, Shirley. It was, what did I learn? The 5 things I learned ever since meditating every day for 1 year, basically. So this is a true story, and I have proof. So basically last year, December of 2018, I set a goal for myself to meditate every morning or every day, just don't miss a day. And a couple of weeks ago was my 365th day. So this is the HabitBull app. I check off every day that I do a habit. So that's just showing all the greens for December 2019. But if I go all the way back to December of 2018, you will see that I marked every single one since December 27th of last year. So you can see that it was 365 days. Every session was at least 10 minutes. Usually I do 15. But anyways, it was a really good experience. So I went into a little bit on the Instagram story just as a quick outline. But meditating is amazing. It's very important for your mental health. You really want to find that 10 to 15 minutes of complete silence where you can do meditation. Some people really swear by meditating outdoors in nature and things like that. You know, a lot of monks do it, like Buddhist monks. But you know, obviously in modern city life, it's hard to do that. You can't just go outside in the middle of winter and meditate unless you can find like a warm place to do that. So really ideally, you get up, you wash your face, you brush your teeth, and then you just sit down in your bedroom and then you do the meditation. I think I've shown this before in one of my videos, but the Calm app on iOS and Android, it's a really good app. Anyways, the first thing that I learned that I mentioned is that it results less rumination. And what I mean by that is when we obsess over any kind of thoughts in our mind. So negative obsessive thoughts, some people call it ants, automatic negative thoughts. And you will get less of that as you enhance your ability to be present and you meditate. So rumination is something that I also mentioned in my book, but it's obviously very largely discussed in the psychology community. It's something that people prone to depression engage in a lot. When you keep reliving or replaying over scenarios in your mind, social scenarios or thoughts or regrets or past regrets and future worries and things like that. And if you don't meditate, these kinds of patterns, this thinking, this rumination, obsessive thinking, will bother you as you try to go through your day. So before I started meditating, I was very prone to ruminating like all the time. I was kind of zoning out whenever I was by myself or in the subways or something. I was very prone to ruminating over like past regrets, comments that other people said to me, or things like that, or things that I wish I could have done. You know, shoulda, woulda, coulda is a very common category under rumination kind of thinking pattern. But meditation really helps with all of that, because when you're meditating, you're really practicing your ability to be aware of what you're thinking at that moment and letting go of thoughts, accepting situations, and you're practicing that part of your, really a muscle in your brain to be more aware and present. So that was number one. It's not that I don't ruminate at all anymore. I do ruminate sometimes as well, especially when there's something especially stressful in my life. But both the intensity and the frequency of rumination has definitely gone down. So I'm very happy about that. Number two is that I feel more present the rest of the day. One of the most difficult things that I faced when I was not meditating and in my 20s is that I spent a lot of time in my own head. So I think it's a common problem that, you know, a lot of people are in their own head, overthinking and kind of self-analyzing and self-hating and being too hard on yourself and all of those things. But really being present helps you become, you know, liberated from like being limited just liberated from your thoughts and your limitations that you're setting on yourself and the rumination that I mentioned before, but that really results in kind of holding you back from really enjoying life and seeing what's around you and interacting with people and all of those things and really being alive in that moment. So I think meditating daily for a while definitely helps you become more present. Third thing that I learned is that, open meditation, I said it wrong. I meant open-ended meditation. Open meditation sounds like some kind of a weird technique. Open-ended meditation, what I meant by that is you go as long as you can go, you meditate as long as you can meditate, but there's a bell or a sound every few minutes. So I think I found that definitely useful because every 2 minutes, if you drift off, then you can hear the bell and then you remind yourself, oh man, I should have been meditating, and then you get your breath back in order. Otherwise, sometimes when you're meditating, it's kind of easy to ruminate instead of meditate. Like it's easy to go on some kind of a thought tangent and keep thinking about some stressful scenario instead of focusing on your breath and meditating. And it's all part of the practice. But anyways, the bell, the interval, open-ended meditation really helps with that. And it's an option under the Calm app. So I think I definitely recommend it. Number 4 is pretty important, that it's really important not to let other people interrupt the meditation. So, we all have busy lives. It's if you're living with a roommate or a spouse, I'm sure it's very difficult to fit this meditation in, but you really got to try. Because otherwise you won't have the time. Or even if you're meditating, you let other people distract you, then you can't focus on your breathing. So I got into trouble with this when I was traveling abroad. I think I was in Montreal or Vancouver or something with my girlfriend, and my girlfriend doesn't meditate. No offense, babe, I love you. But it just that she, in the beginning, she thought it was kind of annoying that I was meditating because, we all had a set schedule. We would get up at 7 and we would have like an itinerary, all the spots that we have to go because we're on a vacation. But even in that situation, I really tried to meditate. So, peer pressure and all that, you still have to do what you got to do and kind of set boundaries like that. So it's very important. Meditate even with your family around. Just find a quiet room, or even in the office, if you can find a couple minutes and you feel like you're really like off balance, I think it's important to find a little of a quiet break, at least 5 to 10 minutes out of the day. So, and the last thing I really learned is that it's important to do it first thing in the morning. Now, that's kind of what I personally learned, so it's really my perspective. You don't have to do it first thing in the morning. Sometimes I do it at night too. But the benefits of doing it first thing in the morning is that the rest of the day you'll be feeling great, and you'll basically get it out of the way so you don't have to think about it later. The thing about meditating later at night is that sometimes when I'm really tired, I tend to want to fall asleep. So meditating at 8 or 9 p.m. makes me super sleepy, which is good because then I can just pass out. But then again, if I'm too sleepy, then I'm not focusing on my breathing. And sometimes I'm just on the ground, just taking a nap in the middle of my meditation. So that's not good. I also wanted to mention is that I don't really agree with cramming meditation. I think it was my girlfriend's friend or something. Apparently she went on this 1 week meditation retreat, and then she came back a different person. I'm sure it's helpful, okay? If you meditate 6 hours every day for a week, I'm sure it's helpful. It's better than nothing. But I consider it like a muscle. It's like if you went on a workout retreat and then you worked out six hours a day for a week. I'm sure you'll get into a better shape, but that doesn't mean that you're some kind of a Buddha. It doesn't mean that you can stop exercising or meditating. I'm not sure if that's a good analogy, but what I'm trying to say is that you have to do it it's a long game because you have to do it daily. Otherwise, all the stuff that gets kind of lodged in your brain, the negative habits, they don't just go away because you are on some expensive meditation retreat for a week. I'm not saying that it's not helpful because I've never done one, but all I'm saying is that I consider it a muscle, and it really feels like a muscle because if you don't do it enough, you can feel the results right away. For example, if you did a session for 5 minutes past week every day, instead of doing it 15 minutes, you see the results later in the day when you get stressed out over different things. So all I'm saying is you can't cram this. It's not like a freaking video game where you can cheat. You can't cheat your brain, and you can't cheat on meditation. You have to do it, and it's tough and it sucks sometimes, but when you do it, it's totally worth it. So it's one of those things where it's definitely like no immediate gratification, but it's like short-term pain and long-term reward. So I completely recommend it. And if you have the money to go on a retreat, I'm sure go ahead, but I'm just telling you, you have to stick with it, because I've done it really for a year, to be able to talk and see and really experience the effects. So just like working out your other muscles, whatever, biceps, bench press, whatever, think of it like exercising your brain muscle, and how to be present and how to let go, and all of those peaceful qualities that you cultivate over the long term.